What is going on, guys? I'm SceptileMC here, George, the coach of your San Francisco Arcaniners, here being my GBA Season 7 Week 11 team builder and match. I'm going to include in-build videos because I am behind on my upload. First off, I just want to apologize, guys. I know it is a few days late, but I was extremely busy this past week. It was the spring weekend at my college, as well as I had to do a final. I had to do a resume, a cover letter, apply for a job, finish stuff up for my fellowship. It's just been a really crazy and hectic week, so I decided to put the battle off on the back burner, and I would try to get that out as soon as possible because real life stuff do matter a little bit more than getting this up. But of course, I'm not going to neglect it too much. It's a commitment I have, and I need to get it done. So without further ado, let me get right on into the team builder. So he has the Magirna, the Latias, the Nihilego, the Heracross, the Donphan, the Lucario, the Primarina, the Rotom Heat, the Celebi, the Tornadus Incarnate, and the Crawdaunt. So last time I played Lars, I decided to bring Registeel just because of how big of a threat it was to his team. However, in this week I decided against it just because I knew he would over prep for it, as well as the fact that he has things like Heracross, Rotom Heat, the Crawdaunt can break it, the Donphan can break it, the Lucario can break it, the Primarina can even break it if it specs, the Celebi can run Earth Power, the Magirna can run a Z fighting move, the Nihilego, while it can't really touch it, can run HP Fire. So I did kind of just decide in this battle that I would try to prep for him to over prep for Registeel and just move on from there. So the huge threat to my team is definitely Magirna and the Nihilego, the Heracross, Rotom Heat. I expect him to bring all of those. The Latias I can deal with because I do have my Togekiss on this team. Even though Togekiss does not do too well against his specially offensive mons, against his physically offensive mons, it does a lot of work. And I know that in the last battle he did bring Lucario with Iron Tail to prep for my Togekiss, and I didn't bring it. And because of that, he missed a crucial Iron Tail against the Mew. So I do think this time he'll bring Crunch over that if he does bring the Lucario. So without further ado, I'm just going to get into my team. I'm rambling. But I decided to go with a Choice Scarfed Mienshao because he doesn't have a switch into the high jump kick except for either a defensive Celebi or defensive Latias, which gets hit by the U-turn. He could bring Donphan, and the only problem with that is he doesn't have recovery, so I can fire off high jump kicks against that. And if I get off prior damage with one, I can 2-hit KO after that. So this Pokemon overall does a lot of work against this team. The reason I have max speed on it, instead of trying to get the Nihilego, and I could run extra bulk, I guess, is I believe it's for a I'm forgetting. I think it's +2 Magirna. If it's timid, can't outspeed me. I think it's by like 1 point if I'm a max speed Scarf, so that's huge against the Shift Gear variant, and I'd be able to high jump kick that to take it out. The Aerial Ace is obviously for the Heracross, and the knockoff is just knockoff damage against random things. And the Reckless lets me pick up Okos against a lot of things on his team. Next up, we got El Cap right here. Expert Belt with the Shadow Ball, the Power Gem, the Energy Ball, and the last move I was pretty torn if I wanted the Mystical Fire or the Psychic, but I decided because I'm Expert Belt, I would rather have the Mystical Fire so I can get crucial damage off of on the Magirna and possibly get a 2-hit KO on it, depending on the variant, of course. Then this thing just really outspeeds the majority of his team, except for like the Latias and the Tornadus Incarnate, which I don't think he'll bring versus me, and I can get off a crucial damage against everything. Even the Mystical Fire against a Heracross does about half to it, so not too concerned about not having Psychic. The Power Gem obviously for like the Rotom Heat, and Energy Ball is for the Primarina, and I believe, sorry, let me click open the team builder again real quick. Mainly just the Primarina and the Crawdaunt, so I can get off crucial damage on those things and take them out. After that, we got Raikou right here, Light Doge with the Assault Vest, with the T-Bolt, the Signal Beam, the HP Water, and the Volt Switch. HP Water hits the Rotom Heat and the Donphan for good damage, as well as the Signal Beam can take out the Crawdaunt as well as the Celebi, and then the T-Bolt, and also the Latias on the Signal Beam. And then I got the T-Bolt and the Volt Switch for just pretty much stab and just initiative around his team. I got 220 speed, I believe, to outspeed the Tornadus Incarnate, as well. No, I believe I have 220 speed to outspeed the Latias. Pretty standard spread. Then I got the 28 HP, 8 in defense, and 4 in special defense. After that, we got Samahata the Garchomp right here with the Roselli Berry. The reason I have the Roselli Berry and his 4 attacks is because if he wants to bring any Ice-type move, he's not going for it like against the Garchomp, because on the Nihilego, he's going to have to run HP Fire if he wants to touch my Registeel, which I know he'll prep for, and then it'll have the Dazzling Gleam to take me out. Also, I can take a +1 Moonblast off of a Magirna with this thing, so that's why I have that, the Earthquake, the Giant Claw for stab, and the Poison Jab to hit things like the Celebi and the Aqua Tail for the Donphan and the Rotom Heat. Next up, we got Zero, the Togekiss with Max. Okay, well, these EVs got all kinds of fucked up. I don't know what happened here. I believe it was 244. I don't know what happened here. God, that's weird. That's just Showdown messing up. And then it was, I believe, it wasn't max. I think I was like 220 or something like that. And I had just enough investment to where I could potentially creep something. So I think I had like, I think I had 36 actually. Or it's 32, no, definitely had 36, and then 228 in defense. It was a variant like this. I had a decent amount of speed so that I could creep anything trying to creep me, like the Magearna. A max defense so I could better take hits from like the Heracross and the Lucario, and then Baton Pass, Roost, the Fire Blast, and the Air Slash. The reason I have the Baton Pass is because if I'm in a thing like against a Scarfed Heracross or the Lucario and it doesn't have Iron Tail, or the Celebi and it can't touch me, I can Baton Pass out against them on the switch into the Rotom Heat or something along those lines, and I can get initiative with that. So I really feel like Baton Pass is going to play a big role in this battle. And lastly, I got my specially defensive Mew, because if I'm not bringing specially defensive Registeel, I need something to be able to touch the remainder of his special mons. I need to take hits from the Nihilego, the Magearna, the Latias, and this is the way I'll be doing it. I got the Roost, the Stealth Rocks, the Toxic, and the Earthquake. The reason I have Toxic over the Will-O-Wisp is mainly because of the Rotom Heat and the Donphan. I had a problem taking out Donphan last time because I didn't have any way to touch it other than Earthquake, and the Rotom Heat would just completely wall me without the Toxic over Willow. So anyways guys, that's my team for this battle. Sorry again that it has taken so long to even get this out, and again I'll be combining the two battles into one. So I hope you guys enjoyed this part, and without further ado, let's get right on into the battle. Alright guys, so we are here with the battle, and he decided to bring the Rotom Heat, the Celebi, the Heracross, the Magearna, the Donphan, and the Latias. So immediately I don't see the Nihilego, and which is very good for me because that means my Togekiss can put in more work versus his team. He did decide to bring the Latias, which I did expect, but at the same time did have the Registeel on the Togekiss, so kind of didn't expect him to bring it, but he did anyway. Overall, I did expect pretty much everything on his team. I see that he doesn't have a good switch in to my Mienshao because I can just U-turn out versus the majority of his threats. Can high jump kick pretty much everything else, and I can aerial ace the Heracross Mew. We'll do a pretty good job of walling the Rotom, Donphan, the possibly Celebi, the Magearna, and the Latias, and then my Mismagius and Garchomp can do pretty much a lot of work. So I'm going to pick off my lead right now and go with my Mew. Mew's a pretty good lead against his team. I don't expect him to want to lead off with his Heracross. He could just go for Mega Horn if he does, but I do have switch-ins in the form of my Mismagius as well as my Togekiss to deal with that. He decides to lead off with the Rotom Heat, though, which is fine. He might just want to go for a Volt Switch. But immediately, I do believe right here, I am just going to fire off a Toxic. So I do go for Toxic right here. Captain's going to use Toxic, which is exactly what I wanted. This Rotom Heat's going to be a big threat to my team. And if he doesn't have any speed investment, I do believe my Togekiss might be able to outspeed a min-speed variant. He does decide, though, just to go for a Volt Switch and Volt Switch right on out of there, as he decides to switch out into Tentomon, which is the Heracross. And right here, I'm thinking, all right, he can Mega Horn or go for Knockoff or predict my switch and go for Stone Edge. If it's a Scarfed Variant, I don't believe he can 2-hit KO my Togekiss after Leftovers, which is why I'm just going to make the switch out into it right now. I didn't want to go into Mismagius too early on against this thing, just because two Mega Horns are still going to do a lot. He decides to try to predict the Mismagius and go for Knockoff or just play it safe and get off my Leftovers. And now he's going to pull a switch out into, I believe, the Rotom Heat, which I expect right here, and decide to click the Baton Pass. Exactly why I decided to run Baton Pass on this thing this week, just as a defensive pivot against his bigger threats. He is, I am going to go back into Captain here because I do want to get in my Stealth Rocks. This was the perfect scenario, and I saw like turn 2 or 3 why I decided to bring Baton Pass, and it just worked phenomenally right there. He is going to get hit by Toxic. His spinner is Donphan, so if he wants to go out into that right now after going for a Volt Switch right here, I don't really mind that, just because I can go for Toxic against that and then just whittle it down and get up my rocks against it and beat it 1v1. He is going to Volt Switch, and he is going to go, I believe, into his Vital, which is his Celebi. So he goes into Celebi right here, and I'm just thinking, all right, Depending on the spread, it could be physical. If it's physical Swords Dance, I could have a problem with it. He could be a substitute variant. I know he has natural cure, so I don't really want to Toxic it right now. But I do see the leftovers right there, so I'm thinking maybe it's not as physically offensive, or as like more of an offensive spread. It could be like a Calm Mind set. So I am just going to go right off into Togekiss, as he is going to set up the sub, and I'm just thinking, ah, shit. Is this going to be some sub Calm Mind annoying set that I'm not going to be able to deal with my team, and just have to pivot around and sack Mons off before I can kill it? Turns out he does just go for a Giga Drain right here. I'm assuming just trying to get some recovery, so that the substitute isn't completely worthless. So he didn't just like kind of set up for no reason. He is going to get a tiny bit of recovery, and with the leftovers, I think he'll be at about like 85% of his health. I do just go for Air Slash, just trying to break the sub, seeing what he wants to do. And now, I don't think he'll stay in versus me. I don't see the reason to. He can't really sub. He could Calm Mind here, but even if he Calm Minds, I go for Baton Pass right into Mienshao and click the U-turn versus it. So, I am just going to go for a Baton Pass as he does make the switch. So, once again, Baton Pass Togekiss coming up really clutch as he goes back out into the Rotom. So right here, I did calc it, and now I figured I'm gonna try to get some offensive pressure on his team. I want to see what his switch into my Mienshao is. If it is gonna be the Donphan, I get crucial damage on that with High Jump Kick. I'm assuming it's more of a specially defensive Rotom. If he's physically offensive, I can't actually take him out here, but just like judging by how he keeps bringing it in against my Togekiss and stuff, that this is gonna be especially defensive Rotom, and I do actually take him out with the High Jump Kick, and he does have the Rocky Helmet, which is pretty interesting to me, but we do take out the Rotom, which is great for me. So instantly the Baton Pass into Mienshao with the High Jump Kick is doing great. He does go into the Donphan right here. I'm not going to stay in, obviously. I'm just going to pull the switch out and go right out into Zero, which is my designated switch to this thing. Seeing if he wants to click Earthquake, maybe he'll want to go for Rocks or Rapid Spin. We'll see what he wants to do. He decides just to go for the Rocks right here, trying to put some pressure on my team, especially my Togekiss, because I did lose my leftovers, so its longevity is now kind of cut in half. But that's fine. I believe right here I do just go for the Air Slash, not trying to overpredict this time. I know he's been switching around a lot, and I have gone for the Baton Pass almost every time, so if he did have the Stone Edge, he would have gone for it there, in my opinion. I do go for the Air Slash, though, and I get a hit off on the Magearna. Now, Magearna is a massive threat. I don't care if it wants to set up in my face. I have the Fire Blast for this thing. If it's slow, I can actually take a Flash Cannon as well, depending on the spread. I think Modest might kill me, or come extremely close, but I go for the Fire Blast. I get the Serene Grace Burn, which is very nice for me. And he tries to predict my switch into Mew, because he knows that's my only specially defensive Mon. And judging by that damage, I don't think a Flash Cannon would have taken me out anyway, so that is why I did just go for a Fire Blast right there. Now here, I'm not over-predicting against this thing. I could have tried to go for an Air Slash, I guess, but there's no reason to try to over-predict. I go for Fire Blast and take out the Magearna, and that is a huge threat out of the way. He is just going to go out into Latias here, and I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, I don't know what it can do to me, what it wants to do to me, and then he reveals the Toxic, and I'm like, alright, he's faster than me. Pretty self-explanatory there. I think he knows that I'm not going to have the Dazzling Gleam, because I would not have recovery on this thing after going for a more defensive spread. I see that I can't beat this thing 1v1, especially because it has the leftovers, and I'm assuming it has recovery and the Toxic, so I believe right here I do click Baton Pass, I want to say, or I might just decide I'm going to sack off my Zero. I do go for the Baton Pass right here as he tries to predict my switch. I'm assuming he can't actually hit me with too much. He might have EQ or HP Fire for my Registeel, but I'm going to Baton Pass into Mismagius. Going to see how much speed this thing has, because if it has Toxic, it might be more of a bulky spread and not designed to outspeed like certain things. And I am going to go into Mismagius, and I'm just going to fire off a Shadow Ball here. I'm E-Bell. I believe I can take it out from the range he's at. And he does just reveal the Recover, which is fine for me. I really don't mind that. I am just going to go for a Shadow Ball and see like how much damage I can get off on this thing. I go for it, and it does like 85%, and I get a Spadef drop. So this Latias is going to be going down next turn unless he tries to save it. I don't believe he will. I don't think it makes too much sense to try to save the Latias at this point. He reveals that he's a physical set with Dragon Claw, so I'm assuming his other move was Earthquake just to hit the Registeel. And I do just go for that Shadow Ball, and I take out the Latias, which is great for me. Huge threat out of the way, and we are up 6-3 early on, so it's looking very good for us. He's going to go out into Heracross here, and I didn't want to over-predict with this. I do not think my Mismagius is going to do too much in this game anymore, just in case he has like the Ice Shard on his Donphan or something. So I'm going to go for the Mystical Fire, try to see if he's Choice Scarf or not. He's actually not Choice Scarf. I get off the Mystical Fire, I get the special attack drop, woo, do about half to him, and he's just going to go for his stone. It's trying to predict my Togekiss to, in fact, come out. But that's not going to be the case, obviously. I'm just going to sack off my Miss Magus there, as I know I can take him out with a Dragon Claw on my Garchomp right here. So I am just going to go for the Dragon Claw. I know I outspeed because he's not Scarfed, and I can get off some nice damage right there. Of course, my Roselli Berry is not going to come into play anymore because of the Magearna not being around, or him not having the Nihilego. He's going to go into Donphan, and now I'm in a very good position, but there is a chance I could lose if he's a Calm Mind Celebi and just everything falls into his favor here, like me missing the Aqua Tail. So he gets crucial damage off on my Garchomp, and it's actually not even crucial. He gets a crit, and I'm just like, shit. Okay, let's just hope he doesn't have the Ice Shard. I know he'll probably have the Ice Shard, to be honest, but I don't want to switch out and him just go for another Earthquake and me not get crucial damage with Aqua Tail. He is just going to go for Ice Shard right here. And all I'm thinking is, alright, I can go into Mew, and go for Toxic. If he wants to go into Celebi, I can outstall that. If he wants to go into Donphan, I can outstall that. All that has to happen is I just have to hit this Toxic on the incoming Celebi or hit the Toxic on the Donphan, and it'll pretty much just be the game there. I can outstall everything with just the Roost right here. And he goes into Celebi, and I'm like, alright, you just gotta hit this Toxic, Mew. That's all you gotta do, Captain, is hit this Toxic. Does he get... No, he doesn't hit Toxic. So right here, I'm just like, okay, this did not go as planned. I know for a fact that he's probably not going to stay in here just because, or no, that he is going to stay in and probably just go for a substitute, trying to get me to, trying to get me to go for Toxic again, expecting to outspeed, but I did see the leftovers. I know I don't outspeed this thing, and he is, I believe, just going to go for a sub. So that's it. Yep, that's what he does. I am a Soul Fest, which means even after a +1 Calm Mind, I can take an Earth Power, and I do have the Signal Beam for this thing, so all we gotta do is just hope that he doesn't crit us with the Calm Mind Earth Power, go for 2 Earth Powers, and I miss I don't know what he would do, but yeah, I go for Signal Beam. Of course, I have that for the Celebi, and we are able to take out the sub right there. Of course, if he survived that sub, I'd be very scared, and I'd be like, what did I do to my Raikou? He is gonna set up a Calm Mind, revealing that he has sub Calm Mind, Giga Drain, and Earth Power. Pretty good set against my team. Of course, he has the Earth Power for the Registeel, which is why I brought Togekiss instead of Registeel in this game. But I am going to go for a Signal Beam again right here, and I am actually going to be able to bring the Celebi down extremely low. That is a guaranteed to a KO, and he's just going to go for an Earth Power. I'm just praying, don't crit me, don't do anything crazy, and he doesn't. I'm able to, I would think I would even survive a crit, unless it was a super crit, which don't even exist, but you know it's Pokemon, and I believe like super crits are in fact in the game. JK. But I'm going to go for a Signal Beam right here. I'm going to take out the Celebi. Now, I could have played for a little bit more differential towards the end of this game, but I decided that I would just play it very safe and just get the win, because all I needed in this game is the win. I don't need to have a high differential versus Lars. If I beat Lars, I beat him out for playoffs, and I pretty much lock my spot. I do have HP Water on this Raikou, so I am just going to go for that here, get a lot of damage off on the Donphan. If he's not Spadef, this should be like a 2-hit KO, and that reveals that he's not. He's purely physically defensive, and the Raikou is just going to go down to the Earthquake. Now, I was looking at my team, and I realized every Pokemon had a kill except for Mew, and Toxic Stalling counts as a kill, and also that is my safest way, because if I go into Mienshao, I believe it'd be a 2-hit KO from this range on the high jump kick, and I could miss. So I don't see the point of doing that. I am just going to go into Captain, and I am just going to proceed to go for the Toxic right here, and in this last few turns, I am just going to stall him out of his Donphan. Safest way for me to win. I could survive EQs for days on this thing. Even if I miss, I could just roost up off the EQs, go for repeated Toxics, and just clean up there. So anyways, guys, that is going to be the end of the game here. We do hit the Toxic, which does mean we do, in fact, win. Next week, we do play Mono. I believe we both have our spots locked, which means I believe we are going to do a meme battle. It's going to be a very heavy meme battle, I think. So we are going to go through that, because I believe we do have to play in playoffs, unless I lock #1 spot or he locks #1 spot, depending on differential and the win-loss. And then we don't have to, but even then, we would have to play in playoffs eventually if we both win. So we would rather not reveal our spreads and just have a fun game in the last week. So yeah, I'm just gonna repeatedly roost here as he just goes for Earthquakes. My only attack move is Earthquake, and we saw in the first one I played Lars, Earthquake Mew does absolutely nothing to Donphan when it's physically defensive. Although right here, he can't even kill me with a crit. I believe he is going to not go down to Toxic, but I think I do just to decide just to click EQ here, just to like speed this up a little bit. I don't like Toxic stalling him out. I would prefer not to, but it is, again, the safest way for me to win this game. I am just going to go for an EQ right here, try to get a lot of damage off, see how much it does. It does like 15%, I'd say. So, and he's going to go for EQ, and I do believe that he is going to go down after this next Toxic. So, a GG, Lars. It was a good game. I believe Togekiss kind of caught him off guard in the fact that I didn't bring the Registeel. He was definitely predicting that, but I knew if I brought the Registeel, he would be making a lot of double switches versus me, and the Registeel would kind of just be not like a fodder, but it would turn into a I'm going to lose this game if I repeatedly get like a double switched on and the Heracross comes out and it's like Swords Dance Salak or something, and then I'll just lose. So on this last turn, I do just go for a Roost. I didn't want him to EQ, and he survived my EQ and then take me out from that range. So yep, I'm gonna get my Roost off, get my leftovers. He is going to get his leftovers, and yeah, guys, that's going to be how it ends. I am going to take him out with the Toxic here. So that's going to be a kill to every single Pokemon on my team. And yeah, guys, so that's going to be the end of the video. If you did, in fact, enjoy, I'd really appreciate if you comment, like, rate, or subscribe. I am SceptileMC or George, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace!